your state's driver manual.
Ban Sharia law. This is crazy. Senator Tuberville actually speaks on the Senate floor about Islam and about the Sharia law and how we need to ban it nationwide. I've only seen a clip of this. This is crazy. Before we get into it though, my name is Cliff Buell. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Love to see you here. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit subscribe and like so that you can push it out for more people to see this. This is crazy. So let's get into it. And then I want to know what you guys think.
Mr. President, I come to the floor today to talk about one of the greatest threats facing our country today, Islamic extremism.
Yep.
24 years ago, September 11, 2001, nearly 3,000 innocent Americans were murdered in a coordinated terrorist attack carried out by radical Islamic extremism. Those of us who lived through that day remember exactly where we were when those planes hit the buildings.
Well, depending on who you are, this may or may not be a good example. We know the conspiracies around this and interesting example to bring up, but it does make sense. Curious your thoughts on this as well.
That day changed this country forever. We were smacked in the face with the reality that there are people who are so hell-bent on destroying America that they will kill themselves just to try to harm us.
That is true.
That's reality. It sends shivers down your spine, but it's true, and it happened. In the aftermath of 9/11, we created the Department of Homeland Security. Basically, we went to war. We spent the following 2 decades unsuccessfully attempting to westernize the Middle Eastern countries most responsible for this attack. We strengthened surveillance and gave up personal freedoms in the hopes of preventing another large-scale attack. But 20 years later, we have to ask, have we made any progress at all in rooting the evil of radical Islam out of this country? Have we done it? Let's be honest.
No.
Radical Islamic terrorism didn't go away after 2001. In 2009, 13 people were killed in a mass shooting at Fort Hood by an Army psychiatrist who was radicalized by Islamic teachings. In 2013, 3 were killed and hundreds injured when 2 brothers detonated bombs at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. They were inspired by their radical Islamic beliefs.
Yep.
Then in 2015, an ISIS-inspired couple killed 14 people and injured 22 at a party in Southern California.
Yep.
In 2016, Omar Mutin killed 49 people and injured 53 more at a nightclub in Orlando, Florida. Mutin pledged allegiance to ISIS during this attack. It continued in 2019 when a Saudi military trainee opened fire at the Pensacola Naval Air Station, killing 3 Americans, including 1 young man from my home state of Alabama. Earlier this year in Louisiana, a deranged person drove a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, killing 14 people. To no one's surprise, he said he was inspired by the Islamic State. These attacks, they weren't just against people. They were an all-out assault on Western culture, freedom, and the values that we hold dear to our heart.
100%.
But it doesn't stop there. Thanks to Joe Biden,
There is a clear pattern here. There's a clear teaching that comes from the Islamic faith. And while maybe not every Muslim is as radical or violent, but this is what Islam teaches. And it is clearly an attack on Western civilization, on Christian values and the culture that we have, the society that we have that comes from Christian Judeo values. It is crazy to me to think that we should be allowing or accepting this type of behavior in our country. It literally does not make any sense. And if we look at the UK, you can see how this plays out. It's going awful for them. And if you're unfamiliar with that situation, I encourage you to just do a little bit of research on what is going on in the UK with Islam just taking over, Muslims just flooding there. So let's get back to the video, though. This is getting out of hand, as you can see.
Thousands of people on the suspected terror watch list were allowed to enter this country over the past 4 years. Islamic extremism and Sharia law openly call for the destruction of America and Western culture.
100%.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear about this. The thousands of terrorists we have allowed to enter our country have brought their anti-American rhetoric and ideology with them.
Yep.
We're seeing this in cities like Minneapolis, Dearborn, Portland, Chicago, and even New York City.
Yep.
The leading candidate for mayor of New York City is a far-left socialist who sympathizes with extremist groups like Hamas.
Wow.
But this insanity, sadly, isn't limited to New York. We have elected members of Congress who openly support the radical Islamic terrorist organization Hamas.
Man,
just yesterday,
preaching.
we paused to remember the more than 1,200 innocent people, including 40 Americans who were slaughtered by Hamas terrorists in Israel on October the 7th, 2023. Hamas literally means Islamic Resistance Movement.
Yep.
It's been 2 years, and 2 U.S. Congresswomen, Omar and Tlaib, they still refuse to condemn these heinous crimes in Israel. These 2 members were elected to represent American citizens, and they are sympathizing with Islamic terrorists instead. It's almost hard to believe.
It doesn't even matter where you stand on the issue with Israel, whether you're pro or anti or whatever your thoughts are about Israel. That is irrelevant to the fact that Hamas is a terrorist group and that they are an Islamic-based terrorist group. Those are facts. They always have been and they always will be. There's nothing you can say or do to get around those facts, regardless of where you stand with Israel. That's not the point of this video. I'm not going to get into that. But you have to recognize that Hamas is a Islamic terrorist group. Point blank, period.
But it's true. And they don't hide it. You know, we're allowing people with extremist ideologies, people who hate America values, to not only live here, but to hold positions of power and influence our government.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's an insult to the millions of Americans who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its freedom.
Yep, 100%.
You know, if you think this poisonous ideology won't affect your way of life, just look at Europe.
Yep,
The United
Kingdom,
Exactly. Once a proud nation that helped save the world from Nazi tyranny, has essentially lost its identity.
Yep.
It's gone. Mass migration has destroyed their society.
Yep.
There is no freedom of speech. Crime is through the roof.
Yep.
And openly anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas riots have become a regular occurrence.
Yep.
This is in Europe. This is in the UK. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer recently appointed a person with extreme pro-Palestinian views as Home Secretary. In the UK, the Home Secretary is in charge of protecting national security, ensuring law and order, and overseeing immigration. What a surprise.
Wild.
So the person who is in charge of immigration and national security in the UK is openly a pro-terrorist.
That's insane.
If we aren't careful, the United States will look like Europe in 10 years or less.
Yep.
It's coming.
100%.
We can't bury our heads in the sand about this any longer. The Quran openly calls for violence against non-Muslims. Openly.
Yes.
Radical Islamists take these instructions literally and to use them to justify terror. It's not politically
100%.
correct to say this, but it's the damn truth. Something you won't hear from the deranged leftists who run cover for Islamic extremism is about the inhumane and disgusting ways that they treat women.
Yep.
In Muslim countries that follow Sharia law, it is considered normal for women to be raped, trafficked, and forced to marry as young as the age of 6. Pedophilia is rampant, and women are lucky if they are allowed to drive.
These are facts. This isn't anything more than facts. You can look up these things for yourself. What he is saying is 100% truth, and this is what they're trying to push. And what I don't understand, if you are a Muslim, please explain to me, if your countries are so good that are run under Sharia law, if they're so good, why are you coming to Western civilization? Why? If it's already good where it's at. But I think if we look at the evidence, the fruit of what is coming out of these countries, clearly, it's so obvious that it is not good. So I don't understand it. I can't comprehend it. I would think that even if I wasn't a believer in Jesus Christ, if I wasn't a Christian, this would still be so clear to me, so obvious to see. Man, we need to pray for our country. Pray for the UK as well.
I'm old enough to remember when Democrats championed the Me Too movement, which was self-described as a global survival-led movement to end sexual violence. But these same Democrats who championed the Me Too movement have been radio silent when it comes to the way women are regularly treated in countries that practice radical Islam.
Make it make sense.
I have yet to hear my Democrat colleagues who are siding with Hamas talk about the brutal ways Hamas has abused the women they have held hostage since October the 7th.
Come on.
Nor have I heard Democrats who claim to be feminists talk about the fact that some Muslims, countries that practice Sharia law, require women to be completely covered from head to toe. These women, they're not allowed to get an education, work a job, or in some cases even leave home. They are barred from gyms, parks, and beauty salons. They are forbidden from traveling without a male relative and are forced to wear certain clothing that covers everything but its eyes. But meanwhile, the men in these countries are allowed to abuse women, have sex with children, or have multiple wives, no problem. Everyone, but especially feminist groups, should be outraged about this horrible abuse of women. But that doesn't fit the left's narrative. So you won't hear
100%.
peep from liberal so-called feminists about the disgusting treatment of women in radical Islamic countries. You also won't hear from Democrats about how radical Islamic terrorists are currently carrying out a mass genocide of Christians in Nigeria.
Yep. Come on.
About this.
Speak about
More than
it.
62,000 Christians have been slaughtered since 2000 by radical Islamic terrorists in Nigeria. You heard that right, 62,000. And just this year alone, more than 7,000 Nigerian Christians have been murdered because of their faith alone.
Yep.
You can't turn on the TV without hearing about Israel's so-called mass genocide of Palestinians every day. And yet when it comes to 62,000 Christians being slaughtered by radical Muslims, it's radio silence.
They're not reporting on it. The only reporting that I've seen on this is through either Christian news sources or social media. I've made some posts about it. It's wild. And this is Muslims killing Christians. The same old story.
This extreme ideology is straight from the pit of hell, and it has no place in American society.
Let's run that back.
We are blessed
Let's
with
run
freedom
that back.
from the Muslims, and yet when it comes to 62,000 Christians being slaughtered by radical Muslims, it's radio silence.
Listen to this.
This extreme ideology is straight from the pit of hell, and it has no place in American society.
None.
We are blessed that freedom of worship is a constitutional guaranteed right in this country.
Amen.
That's what our forefathers fought for. If you want to come here legally, practice a peaceful version of Islam, and blend into our society by adopting the treasured American values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, you are welcome to do so. But if you believe that Sharia law supersedes American law, you should be deported immediately. If we don't take a stand now, our way of life, our Christian values, our freedoms, and our national identity will disappear.
Yep.
There is only room for one law in this country, and that's the Constitution of the United States of America. Sharia law is an anti-American and has no place in a free society.
Yep.
Texas is already taking action to ban Sharia law, and I commend them. Other states should follow. We must protect American values, not apologize for them. I truly believe we are at a crossroads in this country. For too long, people have tiptoed around this issue, afraid to hurt somebody's feelings or make people uncomfortable. But the time for being politically correct is over.
It's over.
The truth is that radical Islamic extremists want every single freedom-loving American dead. Bottom line.
Come on.
They have proven over and over again that they are willing to do whatever it takes to kill just one American citizen, whatever it takes.
I'm going to leave it there, man. This is crazy. And I just want to state something that if you think Christians shouldn't be involved in politics, this is a clear reason as to why our country is founded on Christian Judeo principles and values. And when you have Muslims who are just pushing their Islamic agenda, Sharia law, trying to take over Western civilization, that's when Christians need to rise up. That's when we need to stand on the values that our country was built on. And, you know, we're throwing around this term of Christian nationalist as if it's like a curse word or a derogatory term to call someone. I think it means a lot of things to a lot of different people. Obviously, those things don't come before your relationship with Christ. But if we can make our nation a Christ-fearing nation as much as we possibly can, get involved, do what you can, use your voice, make a difference, vote, whatever you can do to stop this from happening and to still be able to have a God-fearing country, if possible. Man, this is so important. And I'm so glad. Thank you, Senator Tuberville. Shout out Alabama. Thank you for speaking up about this, because we need more of this. And that's why I'm making this video, is to spread more awareness that we need to ban Sharia law, point blank, period. Let's do it. Let me know what you guys think. If you like the video, please sure to hit that like, share this with somebody who needs to see it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I'd love to have you around. I'm so grateful that you watched to the end. If you made it this far.
At risk. Her hospital in
Straight Shooter with Stephen A.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of Straight Shooter with yours truly, Stephen A. Coming at you as I love to do every Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over the airwaves of Sirius XM Radio. POTUS Channel 124. The number to call up, as always, is 866-967-6887. That's 866-967-6887. 866-96. POTUS to simplify it. Thank you for joining me. This is the fourth edition of Straight Shooter with Stephen A. Can't tell you how honored and privileged I am to have you as listeners and everything. I really, really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. I'm not in a very good mood. And I'm quite sure that I speak on behalf of millions of Americans when I tell you most of us shouldn't be in a good mood. I'm not going to use words like pissed off and all of that other stuff because I do have Hakeem Jeffries, House Democratic leader, coming on the show in just a few minutes. And I want to watch my language and I want to be cool and calm and composed, but I'm disgusted. I'm a little bit different than the Michael Smirkanishes of the world and Chris Cuomo's of the world and the Sean Hannity's and others, all of whom I know, respect, etc., because they live in this lane. I'm just an American citizen just like you, paying attention to what's going on, being a conscientious observer, reading the newspaper, watching the news, and trying not to get flustered and completely, utterly disgusted at what we're seeing here. But it's day 8 of this government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of people have either been or will be furloughed, if not flat out fired. They'll lose their jobs. They'll lose the ability to pay their bills. And for what exactly? Because folks on Capitol Hill can't come to some kind of accord and get their act together. And me personally, I not only look at it, I'm not trying to play the blame game here because Hakeem Jeffries' work is very, very hard. Just like Joe Manchin, who was on last week before he retired from the Senate, his work was very hard. Just like Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, his work is very hard. Governor Spencer Cox of Utah, his work was very hard. Senator Lindsey Graham out of South Carolina, all of whom have been guests on this show over the first 3 weeks or so. Their work is very, very hard. I don't mean to impugn or insult anybody, but it's frustrating. It really is. And now that we get down to the nitty gritty and we hear words like, the $1.5 trillion that the Democrats want to get a hold of and what have you, it's a number being used in all likelihood by GOP to attack Democrats and what they want to put back into the budget instead of passing a clean CR. And I get that. And for those of you who may not understand, the $1.5 trillion is not all upfront money to reopen the government immediately, of course. Much of it is projected long-term course from these policy changes over multiple years. So it's partly rhetorical to some degree, bundling immediate funding plus future commitments. We get that part. But nevertheless, it's still something that the American people have to deal with and they have to stomach. And why? Because somehow, some way, a continual resolution, a CR, that was agreed to in March for 6 months couldn't be extended to November, couldn't be permanently resolved to a point where we wouldn't have to worry about federal employees being furloughed or flat out fired. And right now, what we're reading from the Wall Street Journal and other places, what are they saying here? At the heart of the fight that has shut down the federal government are health insurance subsidies. We all know what that's about, okay? And so what are we talking about here? According to the Wall Street Journal, Democrats say they won't budge on their demand that Republicans support the higher federal subsidies they first passed in 2021, which hold down costs for people with Affordable Care Act plans. It's a core issue for the party's base, and Democrats hope their stance will help them score points with voters like Wallace, just the average voter out there reading. They was talking about one particular woman, Mrs. Wallace, whose monthly health insurance bill would likely rise sharply if the enhanced payments lapse. Republican lawmakers, on the other hand, have warned that unsustainable government spending is the issue. Over the years, they've repeatedly taken aim at the signature health law of former President Barack Obama. But some congressional Republicans have privately voiced concerns that the GOP will bear the blame if health care costs sharply increase as the midterm elections loom. You know something's wrong. You know there's something in the water when even Marjorie Taylor Greene speaks up and speaks out against her own party in an effort to get issues like this resolved. Let's hear from her and what she had to say for a second.
Yesterday, I took to social media and I'm not going to back down on this issue either. Health insurance premiums are out of control. Insurance is out of control in the United States of America. Health insurance, house insurance, car insurance. People can't afford it anymore. And I want Republicans to have a solution, and I'm demanding it. I don't think Democrats should be the one owning this issue because they want socialized health care, and we're $37 trillion in debt, and we can't afford that. However, the reality is many Americans, our families especially, are paying $2,000 a month for health insurance premiums with high deductibles, and many of them aren't even using their health insurance. They're just having to pay this payment, and it's unforgivable. And to allow Democrats to have some sort of moral high ground on this issue because they're the only ones talking about it, I think is a major failure from the Republican Party.
That's a damn good point she just made. And you don't hear me say that often about Marjorie Taylor Greene. But that's a damn good point she just made, because she said, challenging her own party, the GOP, what the hell are you doing allowing the Democrats to have a high moral ground on this issue? You should be talking about this too. Why? Because a bunch of Republican states are using the Affordable Care Act. You know, a whole bunch of people in red states are under Obamacare. They don't want to say Obamacare. That's why we say the Affordable Care Act, but it's Obamacare. That's what it was called. They were certainly calling it that when it came into law, and they were talking about how much it was going to cost our country, the citizens in our country. Call it Obamacare now. And you know there's something in the water when even Chuck Schumer, Senator Chuck Schumer out of New York, you understand, that, you know, the main Democrat in the Senate, listen to what he had to say in agreement with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Check this out.
So hold on to your hats. I think this is the first time I said this. But on this issue, Representative Greene said it perfectly. Representative Greene is absolutely right. Republicans can't sit by and do nothing while American families pay thousands more out of pocket for health care.
Enough. Then where was the urgency to get this done? See, this is where it gets stink. This is where it gets disgusting, because on one hand, let's call it what it is. Let's keep it a buck, as they say. You have the president of the United States that doesn't really mind a shutdown. Because if you find yourself in a position where you can ultimately blame the Democrats, it would be good for you for the midterm elections. Not to mention the fact that this stuff is distractionary in some people's eyes. Because so much stuff comes up the minute you mention the Epstein files that suddenly here he is with another issue to distract your attention away from something else that you were focusing on. Meanwhile, if you're the Democrats, your attitude might be a revolt against voters. Let them have voters' remorse. Let them feel the pain for voting for this man back in office. And as a result, you're thinking about that instead of what's in the best interest of the country. See, my point that I'm making in saying all of this is that there's a legitimate argument that could be made that this could have been resolved months ago, that a shutdown could have been avoided, that it was never necessary. And yes, we've dealt with shutdowns before. That is absolutely true. It has happened before in this country. But that doesn't mean that times haven't changed and that the suffering that has taken place before our very eyes is palpable and paramount enough for us not to just shove it aside. For us not to just wear that level of frustration on our sleeves. For us not to be pretty ticked off at being in this position where you're concerned about your fellow man and woman in America as an American citizen and whether or not they're going to get their act together. But that's where it gets tricky. See, that's where I become a bit different than other people. And I'm not casting aspersions on anybody. I mentioned a Michael Smirkanish. I mentioned a Sean Hannity. I mentioned a Chris Cuomo. I'll mention an Andrew Wilkow. I'll mention people on CNN and MSNBC. I don't care. I respect all of them. They live in this lane. They do this for a living. I don't. But I love doing this show. And I love talking to the American people because I want you to know I'm an extension of you. I'm like the damn umbilical cord that you put out front and center. I'm so sick of this stuff that we find ourselves dealing with these issues that could have easily been resolved if you went to work. Didn't they have a recess and a vacation in August? Let me look at my producers and be reminded of that. The hell you doing going on a vacation when a shutdown for the government is looming? The hell you doing taking days off? See, these are the kind of issues, these are the kind of questions American citizens ask when stuff like this comes up. And then, by the way, we're not going to sit up here and just throw shade on the president of the United States. He's not innocent. He's not innocent. I got major problems with him, which I'll get into as the show progresses. I got major, major problems with some of the stuff the president of the United States has been doing. I really, really do. Whether, it's listening to him, looking at one city after another, having the National Guard. It's Los Angeles 1 minute. It's Portland another. It's Chicago right now. It's Washington, D.C., even though that's over the purview of the federal government. That's him. He has a right to do it in Washington, D.C. I'm threatening Baltimore.
The weather is starting to get colder, but before it gets cold out, while it's still nice, we have
not just National Guards, but military men and women. I'm very, very frustrated. But then you know what I did? And see, this is what makes me a little bit different. Because I'm a bipartisan individual when it comes to this stuff. I'm not taking sides. I said, why is this necessary? What is wrong with this man? You know good and damn well that when it comes to governors, they are the commander-in-chiefs of their respective state, that you have absolutely positively no business sending the National Guard into their cities, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, Portland, and now Chicago. Even though with Portland, a judge temporarily blocked it. You know you have no business doing that. Why are you circumventing constitutional authority? What is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? You know you have no business doing this. And then you got pundits who favor him talking about, well, you know what? I mean, Stephen A., come on. I mean, you look at the bodies dropping in Chicago. You see the kind of violence that's been permeating in D.C. or Memphis. That's not the point. I understand something should be done. I think the governors of each state, whatever federal assistance he's willing to provide, if you know you've got crime being pervasive in your streets, you should want federal assistance. But the flip side to it is that while you may want that, and you should want that, that doesn't give him a right to impose it without your blessing if you are a state in this republic. It's wrong. And then I said, you know something? I'm trying to find out what's wrong with this man. Why is he doing this? Then I thought about the impeachments. One was over the abuse of power. Allegedly, Democrats alleged that Trump pressured Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to announce investigations into Joe Biden and his son in exchange for U.S. military aid. The other one, obstruction of Congress for directing aides and agencies not to comply with House subpoenas. Those were the two ones for the first impeachment. The second impeachment, incitement of the insurrection. And of course, the people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump, 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in first degree, core allegations Trump's company logged hush money payments to adult film actress Stormy Daniels as legal expenses to conceal a reimbursement scheme during the 2016 campaign for about $130,000. And then I said, you know something? I'm not justifying his actions. I'm not justifying his pettiness. I'm not justifying his acts of retribution and this revenge tour that he's on. But I can understand why it would annoy the living hell out of people. Why it would annoy the living hell out of him. And so even though it's ridiculous and petty and beneath the presidency, you could also take into account somebody being agitated enough to act that way. You know, I'm going to take a break in a little bit, but not before I talk to my guest. He is the 8th Congressional District of New York. He represents the 8th Congressional District of New York and is serving his 7th term in the United States Congress. Please welcome back to the show, House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Good afternoon. Good evening, sir. How are you? How's everything going?
Good. Great to be with you.
Thank you for coming on the show. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate your time. First of all, where do we stand right now with this government shutdown? It's day 8. You held a press conference earlier this afternoon requesting that the House Republicans who've been on vacation since September 19th return to Washington to discuss the extension of the Affordable Care Act. First things first, where do we stand, and have you spoken to Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson?
Speaker Johnson and I haven't spoken today, but we continue to say to him, to Leader Thune over on the Senate side, and to the White House that we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone, either on the Capitol or back in the Oval Office to reopen the government, which needs to happen, to enact a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people and do it in a bipartisan way. Democrats and Republicans sitting down and coming together to exercise common sense to arrive at the common good for the greatest number of people. And then, of course, we got to address this Republican healthcare crisis because it's devastating people all across the country, whether you live in a blue state, a purple state, or a red state. This Republican healthcare crisis is devastating everyone.
How is it a Republican healthcare crisis? Explain to me, how is it a Republican healthcare crisis instead of all of y'all? I mean, all of y'all got something to do with it, right?
Yeah, well, let me give you 5 different things. No, they passed this one big ugly bill. Not a single Democrat voted for it. They did this. That was their signature piece of legislation this year. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history. By the way, this is after President Trump said in late January, we're going to love and cherish Medicaid. Really? And then you enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, right? That's problem number one. And they did it to reward their billionaire donors with massive tax breaks. That's their bill. Not a single Democrat in the House or Senate voted for it. Problem number two, as a result of this one big ugly bill, these are just the facts. The Republicans have set in motion a possible $536 billion cut to Medicare. They're going to hurt grandmothers and grandfathers and older Americans all across the country. Third problem, they refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And as a result of that, tens of millions of Americans are about to experience dramatic increases in their health care premiums, copays, and deductibles when health care is already too expensive in the United States of America. Problem number four, because of their one big ugly bill, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics are closing all across America. This is happening in urban America, rural America, small town America, and the heartland of America. And problem number five is that they've effectively ended medical research in the United States of America. And in their appropriations bills, they're going after the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institutes of Health. And then they're asking Democrats to sign off on the crisis that they've created.
When you listen to the folks on the GOP side, they'll tell you they're cutting illegals and able-bodied working people. That's specifically what they're talking about, nothing else. Are they accurate in saying that? Or are you saying that they're not telling the truth?
I mean, they are lying to the American people. And listen, the reality is the American people realize that we got testimony earlier today from a young woman, 29 years old, who lives in rural West Virginia, a state that Donald Trump won by 41 points. She is the sole caregiver for her older brother, who's both legally blind and incapable of caring for himself. She cares for him through Medicaid. He's able to actually be cared for in a loving environment because of Medicaid. Now that's at risk. Her hospital in the rural community that she lives is at risk of closing. And on top of all of that, she's a small business entrepreneur. She receives her health care through the Affordable Care Act tax credit program. If we don't extend it, she testified to us earlier today that her insurance costs are going to increase by thousands of dollars per year. She's getting hit on all sides. And what we're saying is that this is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. It affects people all across the country. And the crisis is upon us right now. We need to address it right now, along with, of course, Stephen, reopening the government and enacting a bipartisan spending agreement. We're not saying we want to do this on our own. We're saying we need to sit down and have a negotiation, the type of thing that you've been calling for, appropriately so, where we're sitting down and doing our jobs as opposed to House Republicans literally being on vacation the last few weeks, canceling votes last week, canceling votes this week.
So before I get to my next question, let me be very clear. No Democrats on vacation? I just want to make sure. I ask a simple question like that, since you talked about House Republicans being on vacation. No Democrats on vacation?
Not a single Democrat on vacation. We were here last week and we're here this week.
Let me get to this question, though, because I remember the CR that y'all signed on for in March. That was obviously 6 months. It ended September 30th. if I remember correctly, I don't know whether the number was 12 or 13 times under Biden. You know, y'all signed on. I'm wondering why shut down now, considering the fact that you guys, when it came to a CR, that was something that y'all was willing to push forward when Biden was in office on numerous occasions.
Well, yeah, it's a really important question. I'm glad you asked it. Now, the thing that's interesting is that every single time we reached an agreement when Joe Biden was president, it was Democrats in the House, even though we were in the minority during the last 2 years of the Biden presidency, that provided the votes to keep the government open. We acted in a bipartisan way, consistently found the common ground with Speaker Johnson and before that with Speaker Kevin McCarthy to keep the government open and do it in a way that actually met the needs of the American people. The problem that we confront this time around is that throughout the Trump presidency.
Are you wearing 7 layers and still freezing your man nipples? You need the new 300.
Basically, they've taken a go it alone, my way or the highway approach to governance. We've seen it all over the country. In fact, we've seen it throughout the world.
Seriously, they hadn't been there but a week. They think this is going on week 2.
But I will say thank you to Trump. Some of y'all might get mad at me. And at this point, I don't give a damn. I'm not into politics. I'm not into all of that extra stuff that people be losing their life over. I ain't into all that. We human. Whatever. But I will say thank you to Trump for bringing these National Guards and doing what they're doing down here in Memphis right now. You know, for the first time in 5 years. I've been in my home for 5 years. And for the first time, my kids have been able to play in the backyard and be able to do it comfortably. I haven't heard a gunshot in 2 weeks. I haven't seen strange people walk up and down the street. Just a few weeks ago, I had somebody walk on the side of my house. None of that action's going on. I haven't seen no young YNs at the stove posted. I haven't seen an infinity fly past me in weeks. I'm sitting on my porch right now, and I'm watching kids outside playing. People outside walking with their kids, stuff I ain't never seen before living in my neighborhood. But all because we feel safe in this environment, unfortunately, because of the things that are happening here in the city. I hate it had to be this way, but I'm happy. I'm happy. Honestly, I truly feel that this is just a band-aid to the problem. I don't think this is going to completely fix everything. But to have a moment of peace, just thank you, Jesus.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys pulling up. Hey, God bless the people down there in Memphis because they are getting an opportunity to see what life is supposed to really be like. Your kids should be able to go out and play in your neighborhood. The kids should be able to ride bikes up and down the street without fear of a stray bullet. You should be able to sleep at night and not worry about, gunshots ringing throughout the night. This is America. This isn't some third world, war-torn nation. And it's sad because it sounds like there's a lot of people out there in Memphis that have been suffering from some form of PTSD. And it feels like, and it sounds like they've been living, in a worn-torn area for quite some time. And I'm glad that people get a chance to see it. They're appreciative and they're vocalizing it. I got some additional clips to share. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep going, man.
All jokes aside, Trump, I just want to let you know, man, I got to stand with you. You sent them people here and they cleaned up our streets. I'm talking about they cleaned them good. I don't see a YN nowhere doing nothing. I don't hear no gunshots. I don't hear no cars burning rubber. I don't hear none of that, Trump. I'm talking about y'all took 600 criminals off the street. Y'all got 191 guns off the streets. Y'all got 50,000 in narcotics off the streets. Man, if I ever said anything crazy about Trump, I take it back. But one thing I can say, I don't know what the hell MPD been around here doing. For y'all to come here and make 600 arrests? Goddamn, Memphis, y'all really looking bad. That chief that we hired out of Nashville, hey, y'all need to get her walking papers. Paul Young, get his ass them walking papers too. Sheriff Bunham, get his ass them walking papers too. All of them got to go.
Hey, he's absolutely right there. What in the world? What in the world has MPD been doing? Seriously, they hadn't been there but a week. They think this is going on week 2. And think about how they've cleaned it up. This is a shame, man. This is a stain on the leadership in Memphis. And I'm glad that the people, like this brother here, the young lady that started the video off, they're starting to see it and they're vocalizing it. They deserve better leadership.
This is definitely your last chance to replace your walk. It instantly beats all.
And people got to understand that when you are in a position of power, when you're in a position of a leader, your job is to serve the people that put you there. I don't think a lot of these Democrats, and unfortunately, I don't think a lot of politicians in general understand their purpose.
Ever since 12 and Trump done came to Memphis, I ain't heard no gunshots at night. Like, none, no switches going off, no ARP, no, bruh, not even no nigga just practice shooting in the bushes. Niggas don't need to do that no more. Like, I don't know, these niggas been, hey, I guess they been getting strapped up. What's happening? You don't hear no, and we walked them down, and we, you don't see none of that, hear none of that outside no more. You can't, hey, they putting shit up. All these motherfuckers going to 201 Poplar. I know 201 Poplar deep as fuck. They getting the traffic tickets too, nigga. You going to jail for traffic violations now. Get your ass up in that, what? They getting everybody up in that motherfucker. Hey, switch, fed time. Jail, what? Anything, jail, what, nigga? You breathing jail, nigga? Fuck you talking about, nigga? They getting everybody, nigga. They coming in your house. They coming in your house, nigga. They breaking your, and I don't know which amendment is. I think it's the 3rd or 4th or one of them. Breaking that, taking it. You know, fuck Warren. We gonna get that.
Hey, people are happy that the streets are being cleaned up, man. People are happy.
I usually mind my business, but I find it crazy that ever since Trump been sending out the National Guard to certain cities like D.C., Memphis, the people that actually live there, the law-abiding citizens, have no issues with Trump bringing these folks in because they know that their own community is dying because they keep killing each other. Like, why is it that this white man, Trump, has to send people in to teach you niggas how to act in your own neighborhoods? Like, YNs gotta wake up and realize, bro, like, y'all are causing some of the most destruction we've ever seen, bro. This is crazy. This generation, the way that we have no regard for each other's lives is disgusting, bro. And it's like, to watch it all go away as soon as a white man give an order, that's actually sickening. Because it just shows that you don't know how to act unless a white man got his thumb in the back of your neck telling you what to do in your own community. But you can't self-govern yourself and be a law, not even, I won't even say law-abiding. I'll just say an upstanding citizen to where you're not out here taking out your own people. That's the biggest issue. I don't care about people selling. I don't care about nobody selling nothing that people want. Period.
How? And why not? These are people, if they're selling illicit substances, those cause lives just as much as the bullets do. I mean, you're selling poison to your own people. I just don't understand that. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
But when you out here unaliving your own, that's the real problem.
Isn't that what you're doing also when you're selling dope? You know, that's cut, you know, with fentanyl and every daggone thing else. Isn't that what you're doing? It's just a slower process, but I mean, the results are still the same, right?
But I find it funny that the murder rates in these cities have gone so low, which lets me know that you niggas know right from wrong. You just don't give a about your own people enough to stop killing each other. That's just what I got to come up with. Y'all don't care about your own people. Y'all only listen when the white man got his thumb on the back of your neck and his foot in your ass. That's the only time you YNs know how to listen. That's sad.
It's sad. It is sad. It's sad that it took the president to say, you know what? We are going to save these people from themselves. It is sad. It's a bad look. And it's also a bad look because most of these places, all of these places are Democrat led, from the police chief to the mayors to the city council to the school to the school board, you name it. It's Democrats in every facet, you know what I'm saying, of the political landscape there. And they don't care. They don't care. You know what I'm saying, about black folks in these communities. They don't care. And they're actually the ones out there protesting to allow it to keep happening. Make that make sense.
If y'all in Memphis, Tennessee, you know what I'm saying? And if you out driving and you ain't got no insurance, boy, they gonna make you get out that car and they gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? They ain't playing in Memphis. They got the National Guard down there. They got ISIS. They got everybody down there. You know what I'm saying? They catching everybody. They pulling right behind you. They finna read your tags. If you ain't got no insurance,
good.
You might well get to walking. Call you a Lyft, call you an Uber. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going down in Memphis, Tennessee. Hey, Trump got them boys out there.
Good.
Now, they said they was trying to crack down on violence. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what car insurance got to do with cracking down on violence. But I guarantee you, them folks in Memphis still finna be driving illegal. You know what I'm saying? They ain't worried about no insurance. They ain't worried about that.
People gotta understand that it's the little things that lead to big things. So, hey, if we can catch the people that are riding dirty, if we can catch the people with no insurance, with the drive out tags, if we can catch the people doing simple infractions, it actually helps to eliminate the larger infractions. I don't think people really understand how policing works. And when it comes to people who actually commit the heinous crime of homicide, typically they've been arrested 10 to 12 times for smaller offenses before they get to that point. So when people say, oh, I don't know why, they're pulling people over for speeding, or I don't know why they're pulling people over for tags and this, that, and the third, it's because, it's little things that turn into big things. Yeah. So if we can get you up off the streets, you know what I'm saying, before you actually commit an heinous act by catching you and making you, pay for something small. That's good police work right there.
I don't know if y'all saw the video of the woman who lives in Memphis, and it was the first time she was sitting on her front porch with her kids, with her neighbors, and they did not feel, they actually felt safe sitting out there enjoying their porch. And all I thought was like, holy cow, like my brother visits Memphis quite a bit. And the last time he went down there, his wife was like, can I come? And he was like, sure, absolutely. But, and they don't have kids or anything, so it's just the two of them. So he finally asked her, like when they were headed out down there, he said, why did you want to come on this specific trip? And she's like, because I know that it's gotten so dangerous down there that if they take you out with then she's like, hopefully they'll take me too. And at that very moment, he realized what kind of danger he was putting himself into for basically a paycheck. He doesn't have a dangerous job. It's a corporate job. But the fact that he was putting his wife through that by going down to Memphis just to do his job should tell you everything you need to know about that city.
Wow. Sheesh. Yeah, Memphis is wild, and it's been like that for quite some time, man. I'm glad that the president decided to go there and do something about it. For weeks prior to this happening, you had mainstream media saying, what about the cities in red states? What about the cities in red states? Well, hey, he's in the red state of Tennessee, and he's in a blue city called Memphis, that's been blue dating back to the 1800s. I mean, it's a stronghold for them. And it is a war-torn community. Unfortunately, let's just call it.
My name is Carla Basadre. I'm originally from Peru. I
Smash subscribe to join the tribe and ring the post notification.
Fucking SNAP benefits. Nobody no fucking
Families is sickening. Thumbs up this video, smash subscribe to join the tribe, and ring the post notification bell as well.
Nobody somebody to fucking tell me they're lying. I need somebody to fucking tell me they're lying. I need somebody to fucking tell me they're lying right fucking now, because what the fuck do you mean that I'm not gonna get my fucking SNAP benefits? What the fuck do you mean? Because what the fuck is happening? Do you understand that there are people like me who cannot work? Do you understand there are people like me who have kids who cannot eat? Do you understand there are people like me who go hungry the last week of the month just so my kids can't eat? Because SNAP benefits is all we fucking get? I need somebody to please fucking tell me he's lying. I can't. What the fuck am I gonna do?
Oh man. Dang, it hurt. You heard her hit the floor. Don't have no panic attack. Well, too late, never mind. Somebody said if you devoted as much energy towards working as you are complaining about having to work, you wouldn't need me and everyone else supporting you. Get a job.
Oh, fuck.
Somebody get her a brown paper bag. Breathe in, breathe out.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Breathe.
I haven't eaten in 3 days.
Three issues I'm having with that video. First issue. This freeloader is wearing an $80 hoodie. $80. Second issue.
Fucking get not eat. Do you understand there are people like me who go hungry the last week of the month just so many who cannot work? Do you understand there are people like somebody to fucking tell me they're lying?
An $80 hoodie. $80. Second issue. How is it you don't have a job, yet your home is messy? Third issue. You have a smartphone and you're filming this nonsense. Trump, good job. Woman, get a job.
Yo, y'all always funny with that. I be seeing the comments too. Y'all be evaluating their whole life. $80 hoodie, smartphone. Y'all be like, you got your nails done. That's a $600 sew-in. But you're complaining on the internet. Y'all funny.
Right now, like, I feel like this is so evil, and I don't know who it is messing with the government, who it is messing with the food stamps or what, but these folks really just took my food stamp. Like, these folks really just sat here and took my food stamp. Like, I swear, y'all, I called my card this morning. I called my doggone card this morning. The shit was on there, y'all. The whole amount was on there. Why the hell I'm talking about? I even bought something, y'all. Then I go to Dollar General, finna get ready to get my baby a snack from out the store, because I picked them up from school and I be wanting him something to snack on. Y'all, why in the hell this shit say insufficient funds? So I said, hold on, maybe it's tripping. Let me try it again. That shit say insufficient funds again, y'all. Why I called the card, that shit say $0.12 on there. I'm heated. I don't know who got something to do with any of this or what y'all got going on, but I'm gonna need my shit back for real, for real. Like, we literally ain't got nothing in the house. No food in the house, because I've been depending on today. We ain't got nothing in the house, y'all, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get ready to get my food stamp. Barely already get some. And I'm heated. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm heated. Like, I feel like that.
You know, just outside getting a bit of fresh air because I'm going crazy because my EBT was just stolen. I live in South Carolina and my EBT was used at 5 different stores in Philly.
Go Birds.
The only thing I have my EBT card connected to is the Walmart app, and I don't use it anywhere else, so I just don't understand. How can someone even get my information? I'm a broke. I have no goddamn job. I don't know what I'm gonna do. This shit is stressing me out.
Now you see, when you depend on somebody else, and either the stamps get taken from the government, they taking them back, give me them, or a scammer, I need that. Either way, it's not a good look. That's why you gotta have a little money for yourself that you got on the side for a rainy day, right? It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. You went to the store, found out you got no more food stamps. Now you on camera talking about how you poor. Moral of the story here with this little riddle. Y'all got to get it together. Y'all got to have something set to the side at least. Stamps are being taken back. November, it might not even be no stamps hitting your account. Now what are you going to do? How are you going to feed your children? It's not fair for your children to be starving because you don't have even a penny.
Impression of a Trump voter who is on food stamps. Here it is. So I have 5 kids and I voted for Trump because I agreed with everything he was saying. I thought we should cut the waste from the government. But I get $2,800 a month for food stamps for my children, and he just cut it back. All the cuts he made in the big beautiful bill cut my food stamps down to $350 a month. How am I supposed to feed 5 kids on $350 a month? I can't really work because I have 5 kids and my husband is gone. So I have to stay home and raise all these kids, and the government was giving me money. So when I voted for the government to cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse,
then they cut you off in the process. How about that? They cut you off in the process. You didn't expect it. No more assistance being neglected.
So when I voted for the government to cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse, I didn't know they meant me.
Let's get one thing straight, okay? What I put in my grocery cart is my business. It is no one's concern what goes into my household, okay? As far as food, at all. Like, y'all are so focused on the wrong things. Y'all are more worried about me buying name brands of soda, chips. I don't buy generic shit for my kids, okay? And then y'all want to jump down my case because I buy energy drinks for my kids. Why are y'all thinking that you have any right to judge? First of all, like, do you think that I'm supposed to live off beans and rice because I'm on food stamps? Is that what y'all really think? Y'all think that some of us out here are going to live off beans, rice, bread, peanut butter? No, not my family. We're not. And if that bothers you, then you can go ahead and unfollow me. Because I really don't care, okay? It's not going to stop me from buying what I feel like my kids need at all.
All right, now somebody tell her. When them yams get cut out, they're going to be eating malto meal instead of Kellogg's. What you know about Fruit Rounds? Huh? What y'all know about Fruit Rounds? Not Fruit Loops. Fruit Rounds. What y'all know about Berry Colosso Crunch? Ain't no Captain Crunch. What your kids know about Cocoa Dino Bites? Ain't no Cocoa Puffs. No, they about to be eating that generic. Trust me. Don't get too ahead of yourself.
You know, ever since Trump's one big beautiful bill came out, one of the consequences of that bill is a lot of people will be removed from the SNAP program, or better known as food stamps. Now, of course, you have mixed feelings about the food stamp program. Some people feel, hey, this is a help, you know, to Americans who really just need some food out here. And then some Americans feel, well, hey, you know what? I get up every day and go to work. You can't be just laying around. It's not right that I have to pay taxes and actually pay for my food. But you get to lay around and get a card every month and view it like a platinum card. But then some of you, you know, you got food stamps, but then you got your hair done, your nails done, you're outside, you're doing all kind of things, right? But you got food stamps. And it's okay to be outside and get your hair and nails done, but you just should not have that card. That's how, you know, a lot of people, you know, feel, especially if they laid up with a man or something like that. Now, because of the one big beautiful bill, there will be a lot of cuts and people are reacting to this.
So apparently, if you have food stamps, right, you can no longer buy in the future, in 2026, you're not going to be able to buy any chips, candy, sugary drinks, anything like that. Okay? I understand. I get it. But here's my thing. The big mouth yappers who have been on this app bragging about how much they're getting in food stamps, this is y'all fault.
Thank you.
Okay? We already know the administration definitely has a lot to do with it. That's them. They made, they took initiative. That's them. Yes. But the yappers, this is on y'all.
You know what? Remember when Trump saved TikTok? He probably saw those videos. He was like, oh yeah, I got a lot of people to cut off. They have been on TikTok bragging, boasting, flexing the food stamp benefit amount that they get. That's probably what did it. He probably saw it with his own eyes. He was like, oh yeah, I got to make some changes. They've been milking that. I got something coming.
DMV practice test. 30 questions. This traffic sign means A.
For them.
Because you shouldn't have been bragging. Being on food stamps and having 12 children is not a flex. Being on food stamps and being able to buy whatever you want based off of tax dollars or whatever, it's not a flex. And it's not something that it's tacky. It's tacky. Okay? I have received assistance. Do you think that I ever was like, oh yeah, bitch, I just bought this, and this with my assistance? You have no couth. None. So this is the reason why. This is y'all. If y'all would have shut your mouth and just took care of your kids like you needed to, then everybody else wouldn't be suffering. But you understand that this administration is about self-preservation. Okay? This administration want to make sure that they slaves, okay, are healthy. They want to make sure their slaves are healthy. They want to make sure the children of the slaves, they want to make sure that they are healthy as well, so that they can make sure that they can enslave the children as well. Okay? They want to make sure that you're healthy so that you can have more of the slaves, so that you can strive to achieve the American dream that is a myth, that is not real. Okay? Close your mouth next time. Be quiet. If you bought dinner and it was $30 to $50, and you did it with your EBT card, be quiet about it. Just live. Because Tabitha Brown said, because that's my business. Right? That's my business. And now, our business is this administration's business. Thanks.
You know, back in the day, being on food stamps was embarrassing. People on food stamps didn't want nobody to know they were on food stamps. These days, it's a flex. Times sure have changed. People real life picking up a phone and recording. Hey, look, I just spent this on food stamps. I just bought this. You didn't buy nothing. First of all, we bought that for you. You're welcome. It was a gift.
No food stamps, no link, no SNAP, no EBT, whatever you call it, for the month of November. Axios is reporting that the federal government has instructed each state not to load EBT cards in the month of November, or they risk being in violation of the Anti-Deficiency Act. I'm not really sure exactly, if that's punishable by law or something like that. But I mean, the federal government just told each state not to give you food stamps to feed your children. It's against the law for them to give you food stamps to feed your children. Let that sink in. All because you want Democrats to capitulate and let you open up the government so you can give tax cuts to your rich friends. Yeah, no. You're holding the whole country hostage for rich people. That is what's happening.
People have been furloughed, they've been fired, and now kids aren't going to be fed, people aren't going to be fed, all because you want to make rich people richer because they're not affected by furloughs or they're not worried about being fired. And they always have food to feed their kids, but we don't. So the everyday American is at basically the mercy of the federal government right now. And that is pretty much Republicans. And they are going around telling this bullshit lie about Democrats shutting down the government because they want to give illegal aliens free health care. That's not true. Actually, Democrats wanted to give me health care and you health care. They wanted to make sure our health care was protected. And that's why it shut down. And so now you're gonna starve us. You're going to invade our cities. You're going to fire us. You're going to do all of that until Democrats give in. I hope they never do. I hope you never win. And it's a lot of people out there saying, you know what? I don't get food stamps. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But your neighbors get them. And wait until folks get real hungry. And wait till you get robbed for your groceries.
Exactly. I'm gonna let her finish, but wait until you get bust over the head for a canned good. When they see you coming out the grocery store with your cart full and they stick you up, it's about to get to that point. Food will be the new luxury, as well as water. She has a solid point, right? They want to starve out the American people. Bully tactics for real. If we don't get our way, we are going to starve you. We're going to take your jobs away. We're going to cut off your benefits. We're going to make it to where you cannot live, you cannot provide. You can't make it in this country if we don't get our way.
You coming out the grocery store, or Instacart won't deliver to your house anymore, or DoorDash won't deliver because they're afraid of getting robbed because people are hungry. These things have a way of becoming the problem of the many, not just the one. And so I think right now we really should be figuring out what we going to do about this. What comes next? What do we do? How do we use our power at this point?
Right.
Because it's going to get real purgy out here soon.
Like the apocalypse, right? It's a trickle effect. So yes, it starts with the benefits cut. Then, as we discussed, it'll transpire into violence, civil unrest, as they like to call it, right? Civilians and the normal everyday working people will have to do what's necessary for them to eat. The Hunger Games. It'll be the Hunger Games on the streets in real life. Coming to a city near you. It's really getting to that point in society. I agree. I sit here, I laugh, I make jokes or whatnot, but this is a serious matter, right? This is for entertainment purposes, as always, right? But it's not funny. I don't want y'all to get that misconstrued. It's not funny. The people that's abusing it, okay, right? We can laugh at them. Y'all had y'all time, but at the end of the day, they're the ones behind this, and ultimately everybody has to pay for it now. It's not looking good. It's not. And this is just the beginning of the end, the birthing pains, right? What can we do? Support your local community farmers. We need more community farmers. We need more local producers in general with fair pricing, with good pricing, right? That's not trying to tax people and take advantage of this opportunity, but actually